Probably 14 years old. Yeah, shagging Phil Dawson's kicks and out here catching for the quarterbacks and got my first paycheck and all that. So I think my mom still has it somewhere actually, but it's been a long time. But there's a lot kind of still feels the same.
Do anything beyond being a ball boy?
Not really. Yeah, I mean I was a ball boy, worked in the equipment room. A lot of the same faces are still there. So folded a lot of towels, brushed down the footballs, and shagged kicks. It was a good life when you're 14. There's worse things to do.
So do you have a sense of nostalgia then for being back here a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think big part of like when I was growing to love the game of football was watching Browns games because my dad was obviously here through some of those formative years for me. So that's always been something that we've kind of held close to. My brother was a big part of it. He was here working. He was a little bit older than I was, so I think for him it's pretty cool too. So for our family it comes full circle a little bit, which is pretty neat.
Did you think you'd be in the NFL this soon?
It was always a goal as I kind of looked at my career. I was fortunate younger to work with the Chargers for a year, and I was exposed to it and really enjoyed it. And then things in the college game, I was really fortunate to work for some really good people and have some good opportunities there. So it was always a goal to get back, and really pleased to be here with a great group of players and staff and support staff all around.
They talk about things trickling down from NFL to college. How much have you noticed maybe a trickling up from college to the NFL as the spread offenses and the RPOs and everything has kind of proliferated the college game?
Yeah, I think you see that over the last 8 to 10 years, maybe kind of a mutual exchange of ideas going both upward and downward through the levels of football. I think the games have probably grown a little bit closer in terms of schematic things over the last 5 years, maybe, and I think a lot of it's centered around the quarterback position and what guys are asked to do and what they feel comfortable with doing. And it's been really great to learn from the staff that we have here, and work together closely with them, and continue to have those really collaborative conversations as we move forward, get ready for the season.
What was it like being coordinator for Saban?
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I learned so much. I grew a lot. Being in that environment every day, learning from the greatest coach to do it is something I hold in very high regard. And we grew to have a really nice relationship. We still talk today, and I'm going to owe a lot to him throughout my career. And I'm very happy for him, for his decision and where he's at. But that experience is something that you can't ever really describe in words, and really fortunate to have that opportunity in my career.
It was pretty demanding. Did you feel any pressure?
Look, we all have pressure when you work in this profession. I think I was fortunate to be at a place like Notre Dame where you have that pressure, both playing and coaching, and obviously you demand a lot of yourself when you get into those positions. So yeah, I mean, there's pressure to do well, there's pressure to own your own expertise and be really good at what you do. But the one thing about Coach is he's really fair, and that's something that I took from him. And again, like so many learning experience through my 1 year there.
Yeah, Tommy, I was going to ask you about, you've been in the hot seat a couple times as the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, at Alabama in that spot. What did you take from those experiences that kind of helped guide you today?
Yeah, I mean, I think you build a certain callous towards some of that stuff, and I think we talk about toughness and being mentally tough, especially at that position or in those, jobs in terms of being a coordinator. Like, you need to have that to be able to, really excel in this profession. I think you need to have that to be convicted in what you're doing. And, I think a lot of those experiences have shaped, where I want to continue to grow and continue to go in this line of work.
What do you think you can bring to the table in terms of Deshaun as the passive game specialist and having come from the college ranks? What are you seeing, or what do you feel like you can contribute and add to this repertoire?
Yeah, I think for me, it starts with the tight end position. I don't know. I think Coach Dorsey and Coach Stefanski have a really good pulse on what makes Deshaun tick and what they're going to try to do with him. I think from an idea standpoint, we'll be collaborative and bringing things that I think are friendly for the quarterback or give them opportunities to play efficiently. And my focus is with those tight ends, and then bringing ideas to the table that fit into the puzzle of what we're going to try to put together as a really efficient offense.
Why did you choose coaching rather than personnel?
It's a good question. You know, I think honestly, like my dad was a huge impact throughout my life in terms of football, and you know, he kind of pushed me towards the coaching side of things when I was deciding to go down this route. You know, I do think it's important to be able to have, you know, a little bit of both in you. And I'm extremely grateful for the experience of growing up in a family where player evaluation was talked about at the dinner table quite a bit, which is probably different than a lot of 15-year-olds. But, you know, that's a side that I've always, you know, been interested in. But, you know, to be on the field, to be kind of in the fray with the guys every day, I think, you know, when you play and then when you're not good enough to play at the next level and it ends for you, you know, you've tried to find that competitiveness that you're missing in your life. And I think that the closest thing I could find to that was, you know, being a coach and being with the guys every day.
Were there a couple of things that worked with the year you had with Coach Saban that you took away, like specific, whatever it was, a drill or just maybe a philosophy that he has?
Yeah, I think the approach to players, you know, like he would say quite a bit, you know, it really doesn't matter what you know. If your players don't know it, what good is it? And so that's something that's kind of stuck with me throughout. Like you can be, as the smartest guy in the room, you can be a great X's and O's guy, but if you're not a great teacher and it doesn't translate to your players, then really what good is it, you know? And so, you know, that's always stood out. I think the demand he has on the guys, the expectation he holds everybody to, you know, and the consistency there is really important. And then, you know, Coach Saban's the hardest working person I've ever been around. I mean, he was in his 70s when I was working for him, and his ability to continue to push himself, continue to have that work ethic, you know, it's really motivating for a young coach like myself to see. And hey, there's no secret to why he's had such great success, right? And you get to see it firsthand, and that was really cool for me.
Did you have any conversations with him, you know, as you were, you know, making this decision, you know, and talking with the Browns about this? Did you talk with Nick much about?
I did, yeah. We talked probably 3 or 4 times after, you know, he retired, and then through that couple-week limbo stage. You know, I called him and he called me. You know, we probably had 3 or 4 good conversations as everything was kind of unfolding on what was going to be next. And he's somebody I'll continue to use as a resource to help me with some of those things.
Did he share any Cleveland stories with you when he coached?
He told me Coach Schwartz. Yeah, he told me some Coach Schwartz stories about back in the day, but probably not to share. So.
Spread offenses are so prevalent at the college level. Are you being trusted to contribute to the end product here in that regard?
Yeah, I think we all are going to be responsible to contribute in a certain way. You know, it's something I think our staff has done a nice job of, and working together and kind of finding where we all fit in, and you know, hopefully we can, you know, put together a good product and all have a say in where we're going.
Amari not being here, how did that impact your installation during OTAs?
Yeah, we had so many guys that were, you know, working so hard through the process, and it was nice to see the guys that were here really make a lot of improvements. You know, learning some of the new language and learning different ways to do things, which was really nice to see them work extremely hard and make a lot of progress. You know, it's just we really concentrate and focus on the guys that are here, and I can't say enough about the way those guys have worked on the field and in the meeting room. You know, we've spent a lot of time in the meeting room, invested a lot of time with the quarterbacks, and a lot of communication that occurs to try to get on the same page. So the guys that have been here have worked extremely hard.
Last year with Elijah, it seemed like during the offseason program he was doing so many things, and there were just all these wrinkles that you guys seem to be trying to incorporate with him. And this offseason program, it feels like a lot of that has just been scaled back and maybe a little more just kind of back to the basics. Just what was your view on his first season here and what you hope he's able to do this coming year?
With all the receivers, there's a balance in, you know, using their versatility and doing a lot of things with them, and then narrowing down their focus so they can really concentrate and be really good at the things that we narrow down for them. We're very fortunate with Elijah that he can do a lot of things really well, but it's also important for him to concentrate and focus on the things that, you know, we narrow down and say, hey, here's a specific role for you. So he's really, I can't say enough about his progress, his improvement. The way he's worked on a daily basis has been just very impressive. He's been provided leadership to our group. I've really seen him grow in that role of providing leadership. So not only does he provide a skill set on the field, which is versatile, one of the things he's provided for our group is leadership. So we're going to always ask Elijah to do a lot of things and wear a lot of different hats because we think he can handle those things. But Elijah's really performed well because he's really concentrated on the basics, and it's been really impressive to see.
How is Mike? Go ahead, Chris.
Chad, off of that question about Elijah, not only did you guys move him around a lot early last season, but through his career he's gone through a lot of quarterbacks, a number of offensive coordinators. For a receiver trying to get his established in the league, how much can that stunt someone's growth or impact their development?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, the development of the receiver, you benefit from being exposed to different ways to do things in different systems and learning how to play with different type of quarterbacks. So it's oftentimes an advantage, is the way we see it, to where time spent in different ways to do things and maybe catching passes from a different guy. Although you don't have continuity, what you do learn is a lot about that player and their ability to adapt, that's one of Elijah's strengths, is his ability to adapt and be versatile and play different positions. But certainly, I think anytime a player is in your system, in your building, call it the second lap around the track, there's some comfort for that player to be, around the coaching staff. And obviously he's learning some new guys now, but being around Coach Stefanski and being around the building and the support staff is probably comforting for him and allows him to be a much improved player going into his second year with us.
How does Mike Woods look, and how do you think he dealt with everything that he had to go through?
Yeah, I mean, there's different players deal with adversity throughout their career in different ways, whether it's injury, it can be a lot of different things you deal with from an adversity standpoint. Mike has embraced that. He's come back really strong off of his injury, an injury that's a tough and difficult injury at that position. But I've been impressed with Mike, the way he's worked. He's performed very well on the field this spring. And Mike has always brought a mental ability to function in multiple roles for us. He's very smart. And, that allows him to have more of an increased role. But from a physical standpoint, been very impressed with how hard he's worked. And it's really a tribute to the guys, our training staff in this building, our strength and conditioning staff, Sean Holes. Those guys have done a great job with him of getting him from his injury out on the field, performing at a level that I think is very competitive.
Do you think it can be more difficult when you have an injury like that cost him a whole season that early in his career, right? Like he had to establish himself and then get hurt. You know what I mean? To come back and try to.
Yeah, I mean it's like if you're in in a boxer and you get punched early in the rounds, and I think that's kind of what happens to a player early in his career. But regardless of when that happens, the resiliency of the player is what's most important. And the great thing about Mike Woods is we believe that he has the trait of resiliency, and he's going to fight through it. And it's been really impressive to see his improvement coming off the injury.
Cedric's been real noticeable here during the spring program. Just where have you seen him grow the most?
Been outstanding. Cedric Tillman's been outstanding. He has taken every rep and used that as an opportunity to become better. I see a lot of improvement in him in year two. Obviously, there were some things he did in year one we were very pleased with and so excited about his future watching him in year one, but can't say enough about how well he's done on the field for us as far as his work ethic, making plays. I think he's more confident in year two, which you would hope to be is the case with a young player. But Cedric, I just spoke to him and spoke to the group about how impressed we've been with him and how much he's improved, and to see his development has been really great as a coach to see.
Chad, when you, from your perspective, these choice routes that are part of this new offense, how do you make sure that the quarterback and the receiver see things the same way?
Yeah, I mean, choice routes and with other routes, it's really time invested in the amount of time you can spend on the field with the quarterback. That's the most valuable thing you can do. We can show film, we can get the playbooks out and we can look at the playbooks and look at the drawings. But at the end of the day, what's most important is the quarterbacks are on the same page with the receivers, and the only way to do that is to get on the field and work together. It's been great to have Deshaun out there throwing with the guys and really working to be on the same page, because you have to see it through what we say the same set of eyes. They have to be on the same page.
Chad, one of the guys who has gotten a lot of reps, it seems, with Amari and Jerry being out, is Amari Thrash. What has he shown you since he got here?
Yeah, we were really excited when we were able to draft Jamari Thrash from Louisville. We were excited because of his versatility, very similar to Elijah Moore, where you can do a lot of different things with his skill set. The thing that I've been most impressed with Jamari is offensively, or let's say schematically, where they aligned him at the University of Louisville. They aligned him in one spot. He was on one side of the field. So his transition to the NFL and to our offense, we're now moving him around. He needs to learn formations. He needs to learn just getting into a huddle to hear the verbal communication. They've always been nonverbal at the University of Louisville. And to see a player handle those things as well as he has, that's been most impressive. I mean, we all see his skill set. He can get open, he can catch the ball. But what doesn't go seen a lot is his ability of functioning kind of across the board when he wasn't required to do that in college. So he's been able to do that because he's worked really hard to be able to do that.
How has Jeudy been able to stay involved and be on top of everything without being able to practice very much?
Yeah, we've Coach Stefanski's structured our off-season program in a way in which, you know, a player can take advantage of walkthroughs, meeting time. He's structured for us. So Jerry's made so much progress learning the offense, learning his teammates in a setting that just necessarily hasn't been on the field all the time. You know, so we've gotten a lot out of having great walkthroughs in which he's very attentive and trying to learn the offense, the meeting room setting. There's been a lot of communication with him and the quarterbacks to be on the same page. So that's been, you know, really neat to see that you don't necessarily have to always jump on the field every day to make progress and become a better player and help our team win.
What do you think he adds to that receiver room and how he fits with the rest of the guys inside this offense?
Yeah, Jerry's another guy that's going to bring versatility. That's the one word we've used a lot with a lot of these different receivers, and that's not by accident that's what we're looking for. The more you can have a guy function in different spots, it allows the other players to use their skill sets in different spots. So that's the one thing that we've always really liked about Jerry Jeudy is his ability to kind of play across the board, play in different roles. He's got a various, I would say his route tree is pretty big, so we can do a lot of different things with him, both inside, outside. And again, that helps those other guys be in different positions to use their skill set, because I can't say enough about the work that those other guys have done on the field this spring, and really excited about their ability to be used in different spots as well.
Last one. Did you give said like offensive MVP or?
Yeah,
something
you know,
like
I'll just say I'm so happy with Sed's development, and he really took advantage. He was in this building nonstop. He didn't miss a day. He worked so hard, and I can't say enough about the job he did.
As a big fan of the former Browns running game, we know that Bill Callahan had a lot to do with creating it. So how would you ease concerns that you're going away from that?
Well, you know, the head coach still, you know, Kevin Stefanski, so the offense will start with him, and then, you know, just bringing in a combination. You got Ken Dorsey, you got Roy Istvan from Philadelphia, so just a lot of different ideas. And so again, every week it's, hey, what's the best thing for this week for the opponent that we're going against, how they're playing the techniques. And I mean, you only have so many zone systems. You have zone, you got gap, you got pin and pull, gap trap. So the number of runs that you have are not finite, but there's certain schemes. So again, everything's at our disposal. Whatever that week is going to be the best thing for us to win.
Is it safe to say the running game will look different in this new system?
I mean, I don't think it's going to look that much different. Maybe there's some people who could see some nuances, but I mean, there's plenty of success here for the last couple years. I worked for Coach Callahan, when I was at the Jets, and worked with him as his assistant at the Jets in 2011. And I mean, an amazing coach, took so much from him and learned. So there's a lot of carryover and stuff that's familiar to me and to the players. And again, it's what our guys do best, and using their skills, their strengths to get everything done the right way we need to.
What does Juan Jones have to do to continue the progress he made as a rookie?
Just come out here and work like he's been doing in the classroom. He's asking good questions and he's engaged. And he's out. You see him out here going and just again taking the different techniques. There's some stuff that's it's not broke, you don't fix it. But there's nuances and different things. But again, you see him and you can feel his charisma and all that. And so again, he's just like everybody else who's been here in the off season, just working and learning and just continue to ask questions and get out on the field and work through the techniques and just continue to get that work. And that's going to lead to those. The continued growth if you're consistent with those things.
Yeah, when you talk about the technique, I was curious because a lot of offensive linemen say that when they get in off position coach, sometimes they want them to do certain things with the technique. How do you kind of have that balance between making sure guys feel comfortable, but also having certain talking points and teaching points with the field?
Oh, that's a good question. So when you think about it, there's different techniques, but there's maybe a variation. But again, if everybody's built different, like DeJuan's different than Jax, than Jed, you got the different guards, everybody's different. Joel, again, guys who have success and have done things that worked, then you can work with them because everybody's a little different. I'm not as, try not to be like, hey, here's a starting point, here's what we're trying to get done with it. But again, if some people can go near leg with something and some people have to open up a hip and then get vertical, then you work with the guys to help them be successful. Everybody's a little different, so as long as the job's getting done, the technique's getting executed, it may look a little different by person, but again, the scheme and the technique and those things that'll go together that work. So it's just a matter of trying to work with the guys who, everybody moves and bends a little differently. So it's just not, to me, it's not a cookie cutter. You got to work with guys to get them to get the best out of themselves.
How is it for you to walk into a room that's experienced as the O-line that you're walking into, right, with guys like Joel and Clyde?
Yeah, it's great because you can learn from them. Again, I worked Joel out a million years ago when he was coming out, but I've also been in a room where I've seen, Andrew Whitworth, who, is the same age as me, and he was playing, and so when he talked, there's, volumes that come with that. So if Joel starts to make a point, or Jack, or Jed, if anybody makes one of those points and they're talking to a young guy, I think giving them ownership and listening to their thoughts and ideas, I think like to work with the players. I don't say, hey, guys, we work together. So I'm just learning from those guys, and you can learn something from all those guys because they're doing it week in and week out. And so it's a blessing to learn from those guys. I've been a part of younger rooms, older rooms, so it's the diversity of within the room. So just trying to learn as much as you can from everybody, and again, put the best product together possible.
So many of you guys have mentioned the fact that you did work with Bill Callahan, and that sort of eases the transition for them. Do you think that that's probably one of the biggest maybe selling points as you move into a spot where Bill Callahan is on a pedestal for you to?
He's way up there.
Big shoes to fill, but I mean, do you feel like that really helps you a lot, that these guys know that you're sort of a disciple of Bill?
Yeah, I'm a big flip-flop guy to start, so I don't really want to get into Bill's shoes. That's a whole nother world. But again, I've worked for Aaron Cromer, I've worked for Bill, and again, Chrome used to work for Bill and Drew runs for Bill a million years ago with the Raiders. So there's a lot of carryover. And again, I would watch the Cleveland Browns since Bill's been here to see what schemes and see what they were doing against common opponents or just different ideas. Like Bill's one of the best in the game, and that's. And the good thing is I was brought here to be Andy Dickerson, not to be Bill. And again, like I said, I'm a flip-flop guy, not a shoe guy, so there's no point even trying to slide into those things. But yeah, there's some carryover, and I talk to the guys, and it's like, oh, I remember we used to call it this, and hey, I want to call it this, and they're like, okay, cool, hey, this means this now. So it's just a translation game because, again, you're still getting, it's still a zone, it's still a gap trap. So different techniques, different styles, but they've done a lot of good things here. So I'm learning from these guys different techniques and different things and trying to figure out the best way to incorporate everything.
You were actually interviewed for offensive coordinator here. So did you know at the time Plan B was to end up like
You never know what's going to – again, this was my first probably in a while off season where it was like I didn't know what building I was going to be in, and it was scary for sure. Part of it because whenever you're not around football, and I mean that's my passion, that's what I love, but again, when I got to meet, with the Haslams and, AB and Coach Stefanski, it was a great experience. It was a great interview process, and I learned a lot about myself just having the preparation for it, and then being in that room. That's really my first big boy interview that I've ever had in my life. So I was very appreciative of them reaching out and just to get the experience, and then again knowing that okay, you get the rumors going around. Okay, maybe if Brian does go to Tennessee and all these things, but again, the whole time you got to plan for yourself and plan for your family and figure out what the best thing for you is. So I was happy when they called and offered the job, and I mean, like you said, with a room like this, with the culture that they've built here and the winning that they've been doing, I'm just trying to jump on and help them as much as I can.
What were the nerves like before the first big boy interview?
The cool thing was I didn't have a lot of time. You know, I thought I was going to get a computer at the airport, which they don't sell them there. I don't know why I thought that. And, you know, I was told that I should get a computer. I just didn't do it. But so I went old school style, no cards, and just was writing the cards. So on the flight over, just had no time and just, hey, just this is who you are. It helped to be myself, I think, a little bit more and not worry so much about it because, again, there's you know, not everybody's not going to be for you, and you're not going to be for everybody. But I had such a great experience, and just being able to talk ball with Kevin, with AB, and just talk with everybody, and just be myself, and have a conversation, be organic, and just say what I believe, and just just be myself. So it was a really cool process, actually.
You mentioned being yourself a couple times here. As someone who's worked with Bill in the past, how do Andy and Bill approach coaching differently and similarly?
I haven't been around Bill in a while, but I was part of the interview process here, sitting down with him and Coach Schwartz, so that was fun. I don't even really think about it like that. I just go in and every day what did I do to get myself in this position, and just go back to my training. And again, there's 24 hours in a day, so you max out the prep that you can to be prepared for all the guys. And I just let my personality be me. I just want to have football conversations with the guys and let them have their voice and their input. And so there's going to be something that they're going to teach me and I'm going to learn. So I don't really worry about the comparisons as much. I just go in and try to be as detailed and positive and just have fun. It's football. And I get to be in a room with all those guys and learn. I mean, it's a blessing to be out here in any capacity.
Are there some things that you picked up from Bill when you guys were together with the Jets that you carried throughout your career?
I think it was more that when, getting back with the Rams with Aaron Cromer, that the continuity of different things and techniques, because you watch it's like, oh, there's the feed technique, or here's this, and it's maybe a word's different here or there, but again, with everybody, just the carryover of different things that you've been a part of, and so you're just trying to translate and get everybody on the same page. So nothing that I can pinpoint exactly, but it's still football at the end of the day. It's still O-line play. So, you got somebody usually across from you that's trying to move you and you're trying to move them. So just trying to get everybody in the best position possible to execute the block, be detailed with it, and understanding the preciseness and how specific the details can be, and just try to get that out of the players as much as possible consistently.
The pin pull game has been a staple here with both Bitonio and Wyatt. Even the center's gotten in on the action. Just what's your feeling on that? Is that something that you look to continue?
Yeah, it's again, they've had some great success with it. I haven't been a part of a pin and pull in a long time. It's stuff that you always dabble with and talk about, and this is if you ever get it executed and called on a game day, or two different things. But so again, that's one of the cool things I've been able to learn, because Coach Stefanski's been around it for a while. Roy, Istvan's been a part of it for a while. And the cool thing is learning from Coach Dorsey. So the cool thing about every day, you get to still learn from all these guys. So again, whatever the plan is, whatever the calls or the schemes that we're going to need for that week to execute, then I'm all for it, because again, this is all just when you're in education, which we're teachers, so you're constantly learning. So that's the cool part about it. You're around all of this new information or stuff that you haven't been around for a while, and you just get to continually grow and just learn and get those things down. It's pretty cool.
Quarterbacks in this room like to scramble a little bit. I'm curious, how do you coach linemen to block for a guy?
Block.
Yeah. Okay.
Block them. How long? Till they throw the ball. That's the intent, right? There's timing, there's rhythm, there's all these things that go into the pass game, and so again, you got your slide side, you have your man side, there's stunts, there's different things. So you try to, empower them and give them all the tools that they need to execute their job. So, hey, I've been around quarterbacks who like to scramble in my, recent history in Seattle. So how long do you block? Until they throw the ball. That's the intent. You have to have ugly strain, you have to work, and you have to just give it your all until the ball's gone.